You unlock this portal with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another relay, a relay of sound, a relay of sight, a relay of mind. You're moving into a dimension of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the SegWit zone. Our story takes place in the not-too-distant future. On an ordinary day, in an ordinary house, we find the married couple, Nan and Byron, living out their ordinary lives. It has been 9 years since the couple stumbled down the rabbit hole studying Bitcoin together and progressively diversifying their middle-income wealth into Bitcoin, Bitcoin spot ETFs, and companies that actively put Bitcoin on their balance sheets. Life has been good. The return on their investments allow them to live the Bitcoin standard lifestyle that was prophesized by OG Bitcoiners. However, on this particular day, something gradually then suddenly takes place. Something that many have anticipated and called out, but none were actually ready to accept nor experience. Day 1. Byron is up early and has just returned from his morning run. With his hot cup of fresh coffee in hand, he flips on his array of monitors. A setup he is quite proud of and harks back to his investment trading days, before Bitcoin changed his perspective on money. One by one, the screens display their predetermined dashboards, metrics, markets, currencies, a few news streaming channels, and of course, the Bitcoin USD paired price value. Byron knows it's a bad habit to be watching the market, but he can't shake it, as it's been a professional habit of his. He shrugs to himself and tells himself it's just for entertainment. Not expecting anything to be any different from the days before, his eyes confirm that the USD, EUR, and JPY continue to play chicken with each other, each one rising and falling in coordinated response, all ultimately trying to be a little lower than all the others, just enough to eke out an economic trade advantage. Some claim that things are better now that all stock markets finally trade 24/7. Something Bitcoin has been doing since the Genesis block. But for TradFi, this was a pretty big step. Some even thought it wasn't even possible, or wouldn't be approved. It's undeniable the presence of Bitcoin forced a lot of TradFi to adopt or die, and switching to a 24/7 global market just seemed to make more sense. Stock markets reflect the current pre-bull cycle, where the magnificent 8 tech stocks still make up 99% of the annual gains for the S&P 500, with MSTR being the top one. Even zombie stocks are showing a progressive slow rise. Byron smirked. Of course, and why not? It's not like the monetary policy of printing money has changed over the last decade. Life continues, and most people still don't understand what money really is, let alone Bitcoin. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for Byron and his wife to live a peaceful and fulfilled life. Day 2. A start of a new day and a fresh cup of coffee. Brian's morning routine is interrupted. Breaking news flashes across one of the monitors and catches Byron's eyes.
The governor of the BOJ indicates the inevitability of raising rates in hopes of returning to zero. Japan currently sits with a negative interest rate of negative 3.4% and has been trying to get back to zero for the last half-decade. Civil unrest and unemployment are on the rise again, where the standard of living has progressively dropped over the years. There is an unbearable weight on each citizen, and prices continue to soar without abate. We take you live for commentary from the pockets of protesting citizens on the streets.
Byron's eyes flick to the JPY market out of reaction, and at first, nothing appears to have changed. But slowly the price starts to drop. The drops continue to spike downwards in a violent fashion. This doesn't look good, but it's happened before, Byron thought. The USA will just be forced to silently extend liquidity to Japan to defer any immediate risk. It's not like there are any more market stop-loss that can be done now that global markets are 24/7. Day 3. Coffee didn't even finish brewing yet when Byron noticed breaking news flash across a few of his monitors.
The U.S. Treasury Secretary has just made an announcement that the U.S. deficit of $54 trillion is unsustainable, and recommendations are made to withdraw from foreign peace missions and reductions in foreign fiscal aid to ensure a soft economic landing, pending Congress and the President to approve. When asked whether there were any emergency discussions on Japan's dire situation, the U.S. Treasury Secretary stated that there are no immediate plans to extend liquidity to Japan.
The monitor showing the JPY market drops another 100 bips. Day 4. This is not looking good, Byron thought, as he took a slow sip of his coffee, eyes glued to the screens. Numerous investment funds were raising caution. The one that mattered the most was being repeated on multiple media streams.
BlackRock CEO warns of imploding carry trade unravel currently taking place, with widespread impact to all areas of the global trading market if the U.S. Federal Reserve does not intervene with regards to the JPY market plunge.
Regions on the 360 financial market heat map start to flicker one by one from green to red. Day 5. Things are taking a turn from bad to worse. There wasn't even time for coffee today.
Sources indicate U.S. troops are being evacuated from non-essential regions in anticipation of cost reduction policy being passed by Congress. Troops are being told to abandon all non-essential equipment to expedite the process. Due to a decrease in available evacuation transport as a result of recent increases in oil prices, troops may experience delays, with potential round-trip evacuations being a real possibility.
Reports of mass protests and congregations surrounding the Kremlin has been met with large-scale troops and tanks as barriers in anticipation of violent uprising. This coordinated attack, as framed by the Kremlin, has been speculated by foreign specialists as the result of prolonged food shortages that have not been adequately addressed by the Russian government. Rumours indicate that Russian troop morale is extremely low due to gaps in pay. China, Russia's long-dated communist ally, continues to extend food supplies, but has officially stated that all existing credit is to be repaid in full, and immediate payment in Bitcoin will be required if any further help is to be expected.
Minutes pass like hours, but bad news continues to appear. Day 6. The day of reckoning, Byron thought, or at least that's what humanity would call it when they look back in the future.
As part of an emergency response and at the behest of the United Nations, a remote meeting with attendance from all nation leaders has been conducted to address the global state of unrest and instability believed to be caused by the global carry trade unravel. In order to stabilize the fluctuations and impacts of the JPY market turmoil, the U.S. President, along with UN leaders, have declared a joint international state of emergency, which is being referred to as Executive Order 6902. As such, all personal banking, investment, retirement, and any other financially related accounts will be frozen unilaterally. Global markets will also immediately initiate stop loss until further notice. In case of shortages, the U.S. Army will be brought in to distribute any food supplies across major nation outlets as a transitory measure. The President has indicated that UBI, Universal Basic Income, will also come into effect immediately with the use of the Tether stablecoin for direct airdrops. Citizens are urged to immediately download the U.S. government-authorized U.S. Tether wallet to conduct essential purchases only. The app itself will guide citizens on what is considered essential to avoid unnecessary economic burden. It has not been made clear how long the global financial freeze will continue. Immediate request for response from the news media has been denied by the President.
U.S. advises the UN to adopt using U.S. Tether stablecoins for a global trade currency. Reports indicate Russia and China refuse to resume negotiations due to the possibility of the U.S. government having total control over the global monetary supply and the ability to restrict usage. An increase of North Vietnam hacking activity is also on the rise.
Byron glances to the Bitcoin price screen, or at least where it used to be. The space that showed the USD price is now replaced with the word null. Since the declaration of Executive Order 6902 on various news media channels, no further data is being aggregated from any of the frozen global exchanges or markets. The price is non-existent. Byron switches to his personal Bitcoin node to check for the decentralized price that the global community is reporting from their local areas. The prices are aggregated to provide a consensus view. The price shown was just under 39 million US dollars per Bitcoin, a drop of negative 30% from the prior few days' price, which is not to be unexpected, as Bitcoin has always been the most liquid asset known to humanity since its recognition by Wall Street. On the contrary, trading volume has increased significantly. Otherwise, it appears to be holding all right given what's happening, thought Byron. By now, all major media news outlets are chanting the same mantra.
Stay calm, remain indoors. Help is on the way.
Stay calm, remain indoors, help is on the way.
Stay calm, remain indoors. Help is on the way.
Day 7. Fallout. Every day is barely recognizable from the one prior. The last thing on Byron's haggard mind was coffee, though the thought of it seemed soothing. Byron and his wife weren't exactly hoarders, but they did have a small backup emergency supply of food to fall back on, mostly meant for earthquake or flood scenarios. Unfortunately, that isn't exactly the norm either, as neighbors have been showing up at all hours of the day and night looking for spare food handouts. As much as the US government promised food supply distribution and the immediate airdrop of US Tether stablecoins, neither of those two solutions worked out. For one, the US Army couldn't make it to all areas of the nation, given civilians have started looting immediately after Order 6902 was declared, which then led to major traffic accidents and road blockages. Dropship by air also didn't work, as food pirates would raid the drops before others in need could get their hands on any food. This then resulted in black markets popping up all over the country almost overnight, where the stolen dropship food rations were resold to the highest bidder. The highly touted US Tether wallet fared even worse. If it wasn't for the app stores crashing due to insane demand volumes or slowed download speeds, it was ultimately the incorrect or entirely missed airdrops that forced the US government to pause payments altogether until bug fixes could be identified. There are rumors on the dark web that the US government is having a hard time simply paying its own armed forces.
Numerous reports of civil unrest and widespread fears of famine are on the rise. The hourly White House press briefing has repeated the need to stay calm, follow directions, and to patiently await rescue. Many continue to stay hungry but alive. Fears of limited clean water in certain areas is at the top of minds as the US government continues to battle delays experienced. The potential for water raids could also become a reality.
U.S. armed forces are now stationed in every major city and townships. Martial law has been officially declared. Curfews are enacted and will be strictly enforced. All citizens are advised to remain indoors with doors locked.
Day 8. Obey. All news media channels are broadcasting the same recorded or rehearsed scripts as news and communication is being censored by the allied nations in hopes of stemming the frenzy and chaos that continues. Popular social media sites have been shut down. The only folks with a means to communicate are CB radio enthusiasts when they aren't being actively jammed, IRC channels when those servers aren't being taken down by government AI bots, and of course Nostr, which appears to continue to work as intended. Day 9. Signs of hope. The Nostr community has indicated noise from the dark web with regards to major financial players, potential whales, being in negotiation with the global governments. The intention appears to be a redistribution of wealth in return for government assets, cities, corporations, anything of real use. Many on Nostr have speculated that at some point these whales would make a move in offering a strong, hard asset like Bitcoin to back the global markets, similar to an anchor or a foundation of sorts. Some have called it a global financial reserve. Others say the creation of nation-sized citadels are underway. Does this mean we're returning to feudalism? Byron thought to himself. There are also rumors of the governments contemplating seizing bitcoins directly from the mining corporations. Though this seems unlikely, as Bitcoin can be moved away instantaneously, making it hard for any government to spend the time and energy to chase it down, especially when the concept of USD money is fast becoming non-existent. Among the black markets that have popped up earlier, there have also been an increase of Bitcoiner movements to set up local markets that trade only in Bitcoin. Quite a few already existed prior, but were pocketed throughout the nation-states. Given the demand for fair and safer trades, gold bars and coins are rarely accepted due to being easily stolen from buyers and sellers. At least, coffee is back on the menu. It simply made sense to trade in Bitcoin, peer-to-peer, face-to-face, using old-school bartering. The common message within the community continues to grow stronger day by day. Be the change you want to see. The governments that were once set up to serve its population have long since taken on the role of enslaving them. While not always apparent or intentional, step by step they advance, while more and more citizens have lost interest in what their governments do to or against them. Let this story serve as a warning to those that are overly dependent on their governments to think and act on their behalf. When all hope is lost and chaos reigns supreme, the worst and best of humanity can be seen. Only in the SegWit Zone.